to my channel, Medium Rare Poetry. I am your host, Filet Mignon, and I'm coming to you from my studicle, which is a tiny studio. Today, I have decided to take you on a small journey on how I got interested in poetry. My poetry, as you possibly know by now, is basically straightforward, tells a story, you don't have to think too much about it, and it's a relaxing way to pass a few minutes, I hope, and have a giggle on the way. So, today I welcome you to the pathway to my poetic life. The Poetic Pathway of Filet Mignon. When I was about 9 years old, I was given an autograph book as a present. So I eagerly trotted off to my sister and asked her to sign a name. Instead of doing that, she entered on page 1 this poem. 1-1 was a racehorse, 2-2 was 1-2, 1-1-1-1 race, 2-2 1-1-2. When I first looked at it, I thought it was a maths problem, but then when I figured out how to actually say it, it stuck with me for the rest of my life. So being full of enthusiasm, I went to my second sister and asked her to sign a name, and she, as well, wrote a poem on page 2. Now, my second sister is a little more bold than my first, and this is what she wrote. I saw you in the ocean, I saw you in the sea, I saw you in the bathtub, whoops, pardon me. Well, bit of a shock for a 9-year-old, but being a voyeuristic poem, it stuck with me, as it would. What happened to my autograph book, you might ask? Well, I never went anywhere, never saw anyone, so there was no one to actually sign my book. So I spent the rest of the pages practicing my own signature for when I became famous. So then I was forced to go to high school. Now in high school, English can be a drag. You have to study people like Shakespeare and the Romantic poets and all sorts of highbrow literature like that, which just did not stick. Mind you, I later found out that Shakespeare, when he was actually writing, was really not very well known, and it wasn't until 200 years after his death that he became famous. So I'm thinking that's what's happening to Filet Mignon. 200 years from now, these will be absolute gems, and all the academics will be tripping over themselves to try and figure out what my poetry actually means, even though it's quite straightforward. But anyway, at high school, there was a fad where old nursery rhymes that used to endear us as little children were reworked to become a little more risque, and this one stuck with me. Old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard to get poor Rover a bone. When she bent over, old Rover took over and gave her a bone of his own. Oh, talk about risque. I should have put a warning at the beginning of the video relating to adult themes. So I left high school and entered the workforce. And in the late 60s, there was a book published by Alphabet Lauder called either The Book of Strine or Let's Talk Strine, where strine is the lazy Australian diction for Australian. This is where we are known for running words together, and diction can be quite sloppy, or we would like to call relaxed. For example, there was an ad running around for an insect repellent, and once the attributes of the insect repellent were described during the ad, it ended with, and have a good weekend, which meant have a good weekend, so you're not bothered by insects. So that's an idea of where we run words together and we become a bit special. Have a good weekend entered the Australian lexicon and has remained there ever since. So in the Book of Strine, there was a poem published that was written by one John Patrick O'Grady, who wrote under the pseudonym of Nino Colotta. And he wrote a number of books regarding an immigrant's view of Australia, trying to assimilate into Australian society. And this was one of his poems that I just adored and has been the source of the way I write poetry for the rest of my life. So I hope you like The Integrated Adjective by John Patrick O'Grady, better known as Nino Colotta. I was down on Riverina knocking round the towns a bit and occasionally resting with a schooner in me mitt. And on one of these occasions when the bar was pretty full and the local blokes were arguing assorted kinds of bull, I heard a conversation most peculiar in its way, 'cause only in Australia would you hear a joker say, "Where you bloody been, you Drongo? Haven't seen you for a week. And your mate was looking for you when he come in from the creek. He was looking up at Ryan's and around at bloody Joe's, and even at the Royal where he bloody never goes." And the other bloke said, "Seen him, owed him half a bloody quid. Forgot to give it back to him, but now I bloody did. Could have used the bloody thing myself, been off the bloody booze, up at Tumbarumba shooting kanga bloody roos." Now their voices were a little loud and everybody heard the peculiar integration of that adjectival word, but no one there was laughing, and me, I wasn't game. So I stood around and let 'em think I spoke the bloody same. And someone there was interested to ask him what he got, how many bloody kangaroos he went and bloody shot. So the shooting bloke said, "Things are crook, the drought's too bloody rough. I got 40 bloody 7 and that's good a bloody enough." And that polite rejoinder seemed to satisfy the mob, and everyone stopped listening and got on with the job, which was drinking beer and arguing and talking of the heat and bogging in the bitumen in the middle of the street. But as for me, I'm here to say the interesting news was at Tumbarumba shooting kanga bloody roos. The integrated adjective, I believe, captures the essence of good Australian poetry, where it is poignant, it is humorous, and it rhymes. And that has affected me and my poetry all my life. Have a bit of fun and share it with your friends. I hope you like this little journey today. Please like and subscribe to my channel. I have a very hungry algorithm. In fact, it's almost on the endangered list. So if you could help it out by pressing that little button, doesn't cost anything, and you can share some poetry with me and we can make this world a more happy place. Thank you so much. Have a great day and bye-bye for now.